from very different backgrounds.
Be classy, be genuine, be grateful.
I wanted to help out and contribute and sort of give back to the people that had helped me.
Man, welcome to the intro. No need for introductions. All about the world and the world what we discussing. Where every single thought that we had came from something. So it's funny that we made it when we started here with nothing. Gotta open up your mind just to find out why. When you lost inside the dark, just gotta turn on the light. And no matter what you do, you never run from a fight. Because we fighting to be better and that's why we strive.
Hi, I'm Corey McCain, CEO of We Strive, the #1 platform for personal trainers, gym owners, and coaches to both manage and scale their business. I'm your host for Why We Strive, where every Tuesday I sit down with some of the most incredible tech founders, investors, and creatives to find out how, when, where, and why they strive. Be sure you tune in every single Tuesday and check us out at whywestrive.com for more info. Now, let's get to this week's episode. So I'm here with the PipeDream team here. We got your boy Garrett, we got Drew, we got Canon. All right, can you guys quickly go through what your roles are at the company, and then we're going to cover what the company does, and then I'm going to do a big backtrack.
I strictly have an email job.
Okay.
I answer the company's email. I do it pretty good. I take the Zoom meetings.
You do it.
Not much else anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, right. That's true. That's true. I am the COO. I do everything that's not robots and emails.
Okay, there we go. Canon.
I'm the CTO and I do everything that's robots.
I love it. Yeah,
and no emails.
No.
That's true. He will not email you back.
Yeah.
Do people email you? Like, are they like, I got to talk to the CEO or CTO at PipeDream? Like, do you get like, or do you just kind of like,
nah,
you don't get emails?
Maybe.
I get a few from like suppliers and stuff, but I really rarely. Like,
you never reply? Like, kind of.
Yeah, I do sometimes, but not much.
Okay. If you ever gotten a reply from Canon,
he has people for that.
So I met Garrett in Oklahoma City. Shout out to the OKC Poots, the PipeDream crew, or the Poots crew. And when I actually had you on my podcast 2 years ago, it was one of my 13th episode for the new one with Farhaj. And it was cool to see you talk about what PipeDream was going to become, what you guys were going to do with PipeDream. And then we're in your warehouse, or what do you want to call it?
We call it Pipe House.
Yeah.
Pipe House. We're in your Pipe House. Almost, it was September of 2020. So we're almost 2 years later. We're living the dream, you guys.
Absolutely.
You guys, can I say what you guys have done so far? Or I'll let you take over at this point. Who wants to talk about what PipeDream is and what you guys are building?
Yeah, we can definitely talk about what it is. I think it's like the progress we've made. I think we probably way more pessimistic about it.
Oh, I'm very.
We should be.
From the outside looking in, I'm pretty much on the inside at this point. I got like real estate here now.
For sure. Yeah. I don't think we're going to be happy until we make a delivery on a real network.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but until then, I feel like we've done not nothing. I'm really proud of the team. We've made a lot of progress, but I don't feel calm or settled.
Yeah, it's one of those hard things. Like, it's such a binary outcome, and it takes years to work up to that. So it's just like a little disheartening until it's done.
So really quick, let's cover the three of y'all's daily roles. Like, we obviously said CEO, CTO, COO. So Garrett, what do you do on a daily basis besides emails? We'll take a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Drew, and then Canon.
Okay. This has probably been the hardest transition for me because when we started PipeDream, not to use a sports analogy because it's super annoying, but
basketball. It's
Canon and Drew are going to be like,
it's going to be basketball.
Basketball's the best for analogy.
Just do hockey. Canon loves it. Everyone gets a point.
Yeah. But the tough thing about startup is when you're starting, there's no one on the court. So it's just you, and you have to sink baskets, and you get really good at sinking baskets. You get so good at sinking baskets.
I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it feels, right? So you're like, I'm super good at shooting baskets. I'm making them. And then you're like, okay, I need to bring someone else on. And he comes on, she comes on, and they help you sink baskets. And it's the two of you sinking baskets. And then you get so good that you're like, all right, we need to bring on a real team. We need to bring on skill players here. And then you bring them on, and you're not on the floor shooting baskets anymore. And if you do, you're going to mess up the flow of everyone else because you brought on better basketball players. And so then your role is just be the coach, right? And it feels like you've gotten in this flow of where it's your the amount of action that you're doing is directly contributing to the success of the company. That's your first couple when it's just the two of you, that's true. And then when you move, to like the analogy that I use, is like, CEO is more of a coach. Then you have the GM is like COO running like chores and operations. Then everyone else is on the court. You bring your star players. You Canon sinking threes. In my,
he doesn't know what that means, but he's definitely
Points, what?
he's a hockey guy.
Yeah, you can't do that in a hockey game.
like, that's a hat trick. But it's like, it's tough because like my knee jerk is like, oh well, like if we're not doing good, then I need to get out there and shoot. Even if we're doing good, I'm like, I want to get out there and I want to sink baskets. I want to score. That's what I've been doing this whole time. And it's more of like sit back and wait for something to go wrong. Make sure the plays are being run. Think ahead. What are we going to need? We're in the first quarter. What are we going to need in the second and third quarter? So it's a lot less like direct input in, direct output out. And it's tough. It's a tough transition. Yeah. So now most of my thing is like, make sure the team's good, making sure we're headed in the right direction. Pick up a couple of big like fundraising, making sure we don't run out of money. They're probably more annoyed that I make sure we don't run out of money, maybe more than I should. But it's really that, just like, the big picture stuff. Where are we going? Make sure we don't run out of money, and then make sure everyone's set up to be great. Make sure Canon's set up with everything he needs to sink threes. Make sure Justin's set up to do everything that he does well. And that's pretty much it.
So speaking of what you touched on, making sure everything's running correctly, so then we'll go to Drew, because you don't have to step in. You don't have to step in until something goes wrong, which is where Drew has the court. To go in the basketball sense.
I don't know if I can come up with a basketball metaphor.
He ran out too. He was like, and then Justin's like, he's doing whatever. So he ran out of players. So you can start with whatever you want.
So my day to day is all over the place. Depends on like what we're doing. If Canon's in a design sprint, it's a lot of like making sure they have the machines that they need, the parts that they need. There's always something that's like out of stock and we have to design around it or like buy it from some obscure country. We don't need to get into that. But yeah, a lot of that. And then a lot of helping on the planning side, like where can we put networks that'll be profitable, doing the financial, like the crossover analysis between like finances and engineering, like what can we achieve and like how profitable will that be? And then working with everyone and making sure like all the different parts come together. Garrett does a lot of the like high level vision stuff, and then I get to do the like making sure all the little details come together.
You get to do?
I get to do it.
You're so lucky.
I am blessed to be here. There's no place I would rather.
Garrett's like, we're gonna do this, and Drew's like, I guess we can do that. Like,
and then he gets to go do it. Yeah.
I get to go do it. Yeah,
he said it exactly how I wanted him to say it. No, Drew does a lot of the chores. Like,
if you've ever tried to use your laptop outside or on the move, you'll know that it's impossible to see your screen in direct sunlight. And laptops will overheat and shut down surprisingly quickly outside. Here in Austin, the team at Sunshader have solved that problem. Sunshader is the sunshade, heat shade, and privacy shade for your laptop so you can work efficiently from coffee shops, co-working spaces, or with your friends on campus. From the beach, the pool, your backyard or balcony, from airports, airplanes, and Airbnbs. I've got one. It is now part of my everyday work gear that fits easily into my backpack. Sunshader can also be co-branded with your company logo, your brand story for incredible and practical swag to give to your employees, customers, and partners. Check them out at sunshader.com and use code WhyWeStrive for 15% off.
You don't want like Steph Curry like making sure you're paying taxes. Like you want someone to do all the back office stuff, all the chores that you have to do to keep the business like legal, so everyone else can just stay creative, stay focused on like driving forward.
Gotcha.
And that's what Drew does.
PipeDream is completely legal, by the way. He said that kind of weird. I just want to clarify, like everything's above board.
Yeah, we're not trying not to be legal.
And then we have Canon at the very end there, who is the third coming of the founders. So we had Drew. You started, right? Mm-hmm. So Garrett.
Great way to say that.
Yeah, that's a weird way to say it. And then run it back. So Canon came in third. How do you word that better? I don't even know. Anyways, Garrett started. Drew came in pretty quickly, right? Like a few months in, something like that. Yeah. Can I get a guess?
It's tough to say where PipeDream started. It was like a long diligence process. So
Garrett first told me about it in like I think 2015.
2015? Okay.
Yeah. You had like your 6-inch prototype back in college. I'm pretty sure you did.
We may have to take this part out.
All right.
It's okay. We can talk about it.
We misremembered.
But But basically, Canon comes in and you're just like, well, Canon, actually, can you talk about your background? Because you didn't just like, we're just like, let's hire this guy that loves robotics. Like, you had a whole ass company that like was in the robotics space. So can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. I dropped out of school in 2018 to start a robotics company.
Yeah.
We were selling like modular robots to schools. So we make like kits. And yeah, we ended up exiting to one of the largest competitors in the space like 2021. And so I just been there like redesigning our product from the ground up, having a ton of fun. But it was like starting to weigh on me. This like, I'm like not working on my thing, like my startup, but still working on the tech that I liked.
Yeah.
And I found Garrett and Drew on Twitter, and I reached out to Drew. I was like, "Hey, how far along are y'all?" And it was on a viral tweet that was getting a ton of hate.
Can I tell that story?
Oh, please do.
Okay. So when me and Drew started it, we like we had no money.
That's
we
true.
were burning cash. It was just like
What
savings.
were you spending on, like just parts and shit like that, or what?
Just parts and like
Drew
living.
like $300,000 a year.
No.
That'll do it. That's part of our budget.
But burning cash, like, how do we fix this? Is this Drew?
Well, yeah, it was just my savings. We were just like any tool that we had. It was like, oh, we really got to get the cheapest one possible.
Yeah.
And then just living expenses because we were focused on this. We weren't doing anything else. So we were burning through cash, and then we got a little cash to the door. We were like, okay, time to make the first hire. And we had the rule, like the only rule that we really had at the company at the time was every person we bring on has to be so good that you look at the company and that person, you're like, that new person doesn't belong. Like they're so much better than everybody else. Which made it super hard to hire. And we looked for like 3 months. Months and a ton of people. And we always have monthly meeting, which is like when we like take a step back and look at, okay, how are we doing on objectives? How are we doing on the company? And it was July 3rd. And Drew said, look, we have been trying to find someone better than us, for months. And it's like, we're literally not making progress. And so we just need to take someone, we need to break the rule, and we need to make an offer to this person who is just as good as us, but not like so much better. And I was like, okay, fine. Like maybe we were wrong. Maybe like this is super hard. It's really delaying us. And then someone put out a tweet about us. They're like, oh, this is what a cool steampunk company, and it went super viral. And who was it?
Naomi Wu,
who is fantastic.
Nice.
And we use her printers.
Yeah, we have
amazing printers.
Two of them downstairs.
Yeah, Naomi's great. It is,
for sure.
Yeah, not her fault. But she was like, "This is super stupid." What? Well, she tweeted like, "This is really dumb."
Oh, God, okay.
Which isn't like an unfair thing.
Like
to say.
that at all.
pretty much exactly like that too.
yeah. And so she tweeted, "This is really dumb," and then Canon saw it,
and he goes,
and he was like typing out a message to agree with her, right?
I was gonna make fun of them for their CAD model. Yeah, they had,
which is fair.
Which was fair.
Yeah.
So explain what that means
me.
to someone, not me, of course, but like someone that doesn't understand what that means.
They had a CAD model, and it wasn't like what they had designed that was going to make fun of. It was that there was these things called mates that they had shown. I'm trying to think. It's like if Excel showed the formula.
Instead of like it just being the result.
Yes, and so I was going to be like, man, someone should show them how to like hide that mate. Like just it was like.
Some nerdy
It's hard for me to be
Super
mean,
petty.
but
it was on
super
me.
petty.
It was on me. I made that CAD model, and it wasn't that I didn't know. I just realized it later, and I was like, like whatever.
Totally get it.
Already out on the internet.
No one's gonna screenshot it and tweet that thing from our website.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if any early stage startup like got that kind of traction? You're like, okay, I wasn't even fucking ready yet. Like I was just like, what are you gross to me for this?
Yeah.
So you find this, and you're like, I can do this better, and then you just DM one of these two, and like that's. Yeah.
The idea is a brain worm, and that's what I loved about it, because as I was going through the replies in this tweet, it was a really even mix of people just absolutely hating it with everything inside of them, and then people just being like, this is the next big thing.
Yeah.
And I think those polarizing ideas are always where like the interesting stuff is happening. And I just started thinking about it a lot. I had worked with Starship, which is a sidewalk delivery robot company, in like 2016, and so I had kind of like been in the space, and I had considered doing a similar thing but above ground with like cable robots in the past. And so but I was just like, this is super cool. So I reached out to Drew and I was like, hey, like, what are you guys up to?
He's being humble. When he reached out, I didn't see it. And then he stays up at night. So that was like at 10 o'clock at night. And then at 6 in the morning, he sent me a different DM. And it was an entire like video of how we should design our system to be better.
Not just how we should design it to be
overnight.
better. He designed a new system remodeled it,
completely from the
and then
ground
showed us
up.
a video of like how it worked and how it was better in like a night. And then Drew messages me and he goes, "Never mind, we found someone who works with the rule, and we should make him an offer whatever he wants."
Yeah.
Oh, I think you said we found a unicorn.
Yeah, I did. That was my first message. I was like, I found a unicorn. We're hiring him now. I don't care what you say.
I will quit if we don't hire this guy.
Yeah.
Was there a process right when Canon got hired, or you just like build a bunch of shit and like let's see what happens kind of a thing?
It's hard with a system like this because I like to make like a train track analogy.
Okay.
So if I was going to design a train, like the track is already kind of there. Well, actually, sorry, let me start that over. I explained that completely wrong. So like designing around the PipeDream system is really interesting because when you're creating the trains, for example, right, they were able to design both the track and the train. And it's this kind of like ebb and flow where you can design a track that's a lot easier for the train to stay seated, and then you can design the train to like work on the track, right? With our system, we were just wanting to, we were driving in standard utility pipes. And so the track is kind of set. So then it's like, okay, how do you design the train around this to adapt to this environment? And so really what I started by doing is breaking down like, how does the robot like both drive through the pipe, which I don't think is the hardest thing. Driving through the pipe is pretty easy. It's really like, how do you get cargo in and out of it? How do you take turns? How do you do like all of these other things that you need to be able to do, right?
Like it's not going from here to there. It's like doing a bunch of shit.
Yeah, it's like a modular network. And that's really where like I think my background really came to help here is like I have been designing modular robots for the last 3 years. I've been through like 3 pretty in-depth new systems. And with modular rules, like when you're creating the Lego, like it's a very simple modular rule, but that modular rule allows you to create really simple things with the bricks, but also an entire Death Star, right? And so with our system, it needed to be able to function at the low level and be simple, but also, it be an infinitely adjustable network that can be installed in a city.
And what I love is when he's talking, you guys are like looking at him. And it's like I love the three of y'all's like dynamic. It's like you're like the big brain CEO that like is just forgetting. Like you're over here, like you're doing one task, and then you're like, okay, but now I'm going to close like $1 million over here, and then I'm over here, and then Drew's the guy that's like, all right, Garrett, let's make sure the $1 million is closed, and we're doing this over here. And then he's just building robots downstairs. It's like the perfect.
That's pretty much it.
And you guys are just like, and it works so well. It should not work. It makes no sense. Like Garrett, we had a trip to Miami. I mean, all three of you are there, and Garrett shows up with this big pipe, and it was delivered. Wait, tell the story about where it was delivered. The delivery to the wrong address in Miami.
Oh, we had like everything.
No, this specific one that you had to go get, and you had Uber, and it was on the porch or whatever.
Oh yeah, I had to Uber to the address, and then I get there, and I go up to knock on the door, and someone runs over, and they go, "Don't knock on that door. You should leave." And I was like, I'm just gonna knock. Like I need to get my package. They're like, "No, you need to leave right now." And then they ran off. And so I was like, all right.
It was some like terrible, sketchy neighborhood, like southeast or southwest of Miami. Like
it wasn't that bad. If he hadn't run himself, I would have stayed and knocked on the door.
Well, we're glad to have you here. Basically,
yeah, that's fine. Getting the pipe through the airport, I think, is the hardest part. That's an art.
It's always fun.
Yeah, they basically they bring the pipe with them so they can work on it while they're on vacation. You guys didn't really
no, it's just for like show.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, but you did use it. Take that part out. That was totally incorrect about what I said.
No. I love the idea that we bring a pipe.
Just to work on it for a couple days.
Yeah. Like, dude, I didn't even think. I feel so
really
dedicated.
Now.
Of course, that's what you had it for. This is an actual show.
I would if that was feasible.
If it was necessary.
Yeah.
Canon can't sleep without it nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we go to a party, one of us has our backpack. Like we always have.
It's one of us, and it's Garrett.
And then it stays at the party when he leaves.
That's also true. Or on the airplane.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know this story, but can you tell a story of why you chose the name PipeDream? And I know Garrett tells the story all the time, but I want to hear the story on that.
Oh yeah. So actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but the original name was Boratube, and I don't remember why.
Wait, what? I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
So when I put the project name, it was like when I started looking at Underground.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I got to put something in my notes for like what the project is called, and so I called it Boratube. And I think it was the only like river shipping lane that sounded cool.
Okay.
Like the Amazon tube is already taken. Okay. That was really well done. And so I called it Boratube. I think it's a river. I don't remember. I looked it up.
I think it's a
river. So then it was like, okay,
Uh,
what do we need in like an actual name? And what I was looking at is like, okay, there's going to be a lot of media attention around this, and a lot of it's going to be negative about like this feels impossible.
Yeah.
And so what are they going to write about? They're going to call it a pipe dream. So my thought is like, take the one obvious great headline, which is a great headline. If we called it something else, people would be like, this is a pipe dream.
Nice.
It was a great headline. But if it's our name, then like I wanted people to know that it wasn't hubris.
Yeah.
That what we were trying to do like wasn't overconfidence. It wasn't that we thought we were like individually great or like anything special about us. We were trying something that is crazy and probably not going to work.
Yeah.
And just owning that right up top and taking the headline away, that was like it was pretty easy to like, that's the name.
It's so awesome. And when I realized, I think we might have missed this, I'm going to have a little commercial thingy of what you guys are doing on the video, but I'll have Drew speak this time. But Drew, can you describe what PipeDream does and take as long as you need?
PipeDream is the world's first hyperlogistics company. So we deliver things from A to B within the city, and we do that autonomously, cheaply, and in a very scalable way. So right now, things are delivered around cities in cars with human drivers, and they have to be batched, and that adds traffic to our roads. All these negative things, that make cities hard to live in. And at the same time, you have consumers wanting to consume things more quickly and more frequently, and we just don't have a way to facilitate that. So PipeDream really enables you to order one thing and get it efficiently and cheaply, and also scale into the future where physical things can move around as quickly as information moves around.
Boom, there we go. And so with your target market, like I'm going to say two different types of target markets, and then I'm going to say whether it is used to be that or if it's going to be that in the future or whatever. So we have the B2C side delivered into a home, and we have like an Amazon or like an Air Force base that has like so much shit going on. They need things from point A to point B, point C, point D. Which one of those is your target market, or is there another one I'm missing? And then has it always been that way?
Are you asking if we want to work with the Air Force or with Amazon?
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess both.
Well, no, I'm saying Air Force and Amazon type vibe of like a giant area, or like B2C. Yeah.
So definitely, we think about it a lot as the network.
Yeah.
So the network needs to solve, when you're designing a network, you need the first implementation of the network to solve a real problem. But you also need it to cover enough area that you can grow it, right? So you want like every node that you add onto the network to be
like you don't want to build this giant thing and then have it be like 4 blocks and then you can't.
Like an aircraft carrier. You're not going to build a fifth. If you build 4 nodes on an aircraft carrier, the 5th node doesn't really bring anyone value. But if you build 10 nodes around a city, well, now the 11th node is providing like not incremental value, but exponential value. And so you have a good network effect by adding to that network.
And I meant a base, not like a ship. To clarify.
Sure.
Oh yeah, but like if people talk about like hospitals and like private land, and that's cool. Like I think there is a good model there. We're just gonna go after something bigger.
Yeah, you're gonna go after like actual. So we're going after actual cities, like maybe you don't call it B2C, but like whatever you want to call that, like B2City, I guess.
Yeah,
B2C. That's what I meant by B2C.
Yeah, I mean, just as B2C is, the internet lines are in the ocean. They facilitate eventually going to the customer, and they make that possible, even though they're not directly going to the customer.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, can you describe the pipe itself? Like, what are the dimensions? How is it going to function? How is it going to, like, let's say it was going from this side of the room to that side of the room. Like, how is it going to get there, basically?
Yeah. I think maybe a better way to explain is like across the city, just on a straight shot, right?
Yeah, we don't have pipes across the room.
Yeah. So the pipe we use is 18-inch HDPE pipe.
Okay.
So this is just like standard utility pipe that you'd use like for like a water main or something.
Yeah.
Lots of utility companies in a city that know how to install that. In addition to the pipe, we have rails. And so a rail segment is what allows us to interface with things like a warehouse or like a distribution center. Because the robot, like when it's in the pipe, great. That's like the fastest, cheapest way to travel underground. But it's not a great way to get things in and out of the system. And so it has this rail that the robot transitions onto. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Like it drives in a pipe like you would expect, and then it drives onto this little rail, and it controls its angle as it's going through the pipe so that it can get onto the rail. And then once it's on the rail, it can take turns, it can go to loading stations, all that kind of stuff.
And one thing I want to make very clear, because I knew Garrett first, and then for 2 years until about like, I guess, a year and a half, until 3 months ago, I did not know how you guys were using the tunnels. I thought this entire time you were utilizing current, like giant, I was picturing like giant circles underground, and you're just like on top, just doing this. So y'all are actually building your own tunnels, like 18 inches wide or whatever. And that's like, people do that all the time. It's not that crazy, right? Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Okay,
Yeah, totally.
there we go. Cool. I literally did not know that. And then Garrett one of you three in Miami were like, yeah, we're just like building our own, whatever. And I was like, what do you mean? I thought you were literally, I was picturing like where alligators are in movies. And it's like, you guys were just like going in there. And you're like, watch out for the alligators. And you're like building the pipes. So, because that I always thought this was going to be a $1 trillion company. From the moment I met you, I was like, $1 trillion company. And I think it's going to be, I don't really care what you say. But I always thought you had to utilize actual current tunnels. So when I heard that you could just like put a fucking tunnel, like you put a tunnel down here if you wanted to, that's when I was like, oh shit, this can literally be anywhere in the world. Like, it's so cool. So Drew, can you describe how like I don't know if I can say which cities you're in or what you're going to be doing, but like, let's say that you want to get into the city of Austin, which I'm going to keep like getting all my ties and intros and everything. So you want to get in the city of Austin, like, how do you negotiate that partnership? And let's say they say yes, like where do you start? You just pick like, all right, 6th Street, we're doing this thing. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, that's the really hard part. Because like anytime you have existing network and you add on to it, you're adding more value. But when you're picking out the place to put the first network, you're not sure if you're going to have that value. You need to make sure like people live nearby, but there's also stuff nearby, and that the people that live there want the stuff that's there. It's something we're still working on. We have our biz dev guy Justin works on that primarily, and just like trying to get data sets from existing delivery people. So that's a really hard part, but basically we can put pipes pretty much anywhere with a few limitations. Like it's technically possible. Yeah. And cities are pretty open to it.
Okay, so back to the pod. We had the cameras die, unfortunately. So you all have moved to Austin now. So why the move from OKC to Austin? Everyone's like, that's crazy. Why would they do that?
We heard they have good podcasts here.
They do have they have great podcasts, yeah. So why'd you guys choose Austin specifically?
Are you looking at me?
Yeah.
So we had this really over-the-top spreadsheet where we analyzed like the top 20 startup cities in the U.S.
Do we have that spreadsheet still?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can we put that up? We'll put that up.
Oh, absolutely. We'll throw that on the screen for you.
Yeah. Mike, can you put that up?
So then, so then it said like L.A. or something, and we were like,
It said the top 3, which were too close. Like there was human error that separated the top 3. So the top 3 were L.A., Miami, and Austin.
Yeah.
Did you guys make this, or was this like a...
No, we looked at like 20 factors, and they were all weighted, which is... Weighted is where the human error came to. And it was like quality of life, ease to... like time zone, being able to hire... industry that already exists for us specifically, industry for tech,
cost
ability
of
to raise
living.
money.
Yeah.
I think every single thing about Austin, for tech-wise especially, is better than Miami and LA, minus the humidity. Oh, actually, Miami has humidity too. I just hate humidity. So that's my...
Agreed.
Anyone asks me, it's like, what's wrong with Austin? I'm like, literally nothing, and I hate it because it makes me want to stay, and I hate humidity so much. I got to my car to drive over here, and my forehead had drops all over it, just a little sweat, and I was just dude, I fucking hate this, bro.
I will say, Miami was top. Miami, from your ability to get people out there, like quality of life, cheap living, ability to raise capital. I think Miami was going to be better. Yeah. It is too nice. I think it's too hard to build stuff in a nice city. Miami is so nice. It's so nice to live there.
But we're always in
all your ambition is just like anywhere. Hollywood, Florida. I would live in Hollywood, Florida. I'd be so happy, and I've never gotten good work done. And you go into a WeWork in Miami, and it is dead. Yeah. And there's 1 to 2 dudes in there working on music NFTs. Like 3 o'clock hits, and everyone's out, and that's fine. Yeah. And I think that's a great balance of work life,
We're gonna do
and that's fine.
shit.
And if you're like trying to build a good company, that's probably the best place to do it. You'll be really happy. If you're trying to build a very, very tough company.
That's what I'm saying. I like visiting there. I just could never build a company there. Yeah. There's just way too much going on.
For sure.
So I want to touch on really quick your side project, which has now become a. I don't know if we touched on the actual revenue, but like it's become it's paying the rent here at this new warehouse. At the beginning of this video, I'm gonna have a little highlight video of what the warehouse looks like, or the pipe house. What is your thing you created, kind of like for funsies?
Yeah.
That is now paying the rent for this building.
I think it's paying.
It's not big. It's not paying for all of it, but it's close.
It's pretty
cool.
cool.
This month.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So it's this thing is paying the rent for this giant like complex. So what is it? Tell us about it.
Okay, we can tell the quick story.
We don't need 4 hours.
I could do it.
He's got some facts.
So I'm trying to figure out where to start. We had this theory super early on, pre-Canon, is that if you're going to build a really, really tough company, you're going to bring on founder types. Canon, Justin, Mac, even Thomas, who hasn't started a startup, but like definitely a founder type. Founder types build, and everyone here knows how to ship a SaaS company. We could all probably ship a SaaS company tonight. And it's like, why are we not using that? If we can all build something in literally a night and ship it, shouldn't we use that one? Because it's really good content. I think it's good media. Like it's fun. It's like something fun to do.
Oh, all right. So we once again had camera difficulties, and we're back. It's an early show, you guys.
Camera opportunities.
That's how you know it's episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1. Camera turns off. It's a pretty gorgeous backdrop. We don't even care. We're having fun. So what is the relationship for the three of you guys? I mean, I kind of already said what it was, but like, what is it like? What are you laughing at?
I don't know.
Relationship?
It's like
maybe dating. What are you?
Nah.
Great, you're married. What?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the dynamic?
I think it's funny because
How are we supposed to answer that?
What's the dynamic? Like, do you guys hang out outside of work?
Oh, never.
You guys are all.
We work
outside
all
of
the
work.
time.
I mean, Canon literally works until like 8 a.m. So I mean, what
Today.
Today, yeah.
What time do you wake up?
Like 11:30 or 12.
It's not enough time.
That's what are you talking about?
I'm in like a design sprint right now. I've done that for the past like 3 days in a row because like we're like pumping out a new robot, and like when I get like going on a new robot, I cannot sleep until I'm done. And like
It's true.
The thing is, like when you get a lot of sleep, like you are not happy. This right here is like the happy.
Peak Canon. Yeah.
Well, dude, I wish I could do that, but like, cause there's times where I literally like last night I was so excited for this. I woke up like 4 times. I got up at like 5:30 or 6, and I just like went to the gym. I was like, I don't even care. But like, I had to take a nap afterwards because I know I have to interact with people, and I don't know how you're doing it right now, but like, I cannot hop on Zoom calls if I'm tired. I'm just like exhausted. I'm like, oh, okay. Like if you don't show up, please just don't show up. So I don't know how you do this on 3 hours of sleep, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this is like I don't know if this counts as like talking to people. This is like I talk to them like 24/7. So
That's true.
That's fair.
So I'll go ahead and answer the relationship one.
Yeah.
I think I've got some interesting takes.
Yeah.
Please do.
So like the relationship usually goes. I'm going to walk through a day, right? Garrett calls one of us,
Okay.
and he's like, "Okay, hear me out." And he
Exactly like that. That's how he says it.
Hear me out.
He literally does that.
He throws in a metaphor, usually a sports one, but he's trying some new things. He had a baking one today. So Garrett calls and pitches this like crazy way to take something that usually we think as like there was just a way to do it.
Yeah.
Garrett's like the way his brain works is he just like can't just say, oh, that's just the way you do it. He's like, how do we take this and like make it better, right?
Yeah.
For example, we now have a podcast studio in our office because that is a way for us to like do several different things it's really fun to have Garrett on the team because he's just this person who's constantly looking at what we're doing and saying like, what's the crazy thing? Most of them don't pan out, but the ones that do are great, right?
That was so kind.
No, it's true. And like, this is a very nice thing you're saying. Like, I do get that it gets annoying. And I think it's like, I think the nice thing about being the coach is you can try some experimental stuff, which is good. Like you need to be experimental. But it is like, I do think that sometimes it gets pretty frustrating when it's like, oh my gosh, we were just trying to get this thing done. And like, we don't need to rethink how to do something right now. We just need to get it done.
Well, that was building the wall. We were just like, basically we had 2 hours to build at this point because we had to go, we put this stuff up here. We had to go get a nail gun and all this other stuff. And then I have 2 hours, and then I knew it was going to get done somehow, but like Garrett's downstairs, like just chatting up, telling a joke, and he's like helping someone, and he's like all these things. And then I'm like, how is this going to get done in like 2 hours? And like 30 minutes goes by, and I was like, hey Garrett, we got like an hour and a half, like what's going on? And then this fucking wall's up here before with time crunch hit. So I was sitting there, I'm like, I know he's like doing his thing, but like, how is this going to happen? And then literally like, it's done. So it's like,
in fairness, Drew had a nail gun and was crushing it.
Of course. I mean, we know this.
Yeah.
We know this.
Somebody has to.
But what's funny about so I think you and I have the exact same like idea, like series in our head, but like I don't have co-founders to tell them to. So I have 3 days to think them through myself and be like, maybe that won't make sense. Whereas you just go like, like, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
So and then they can go like yes or no right away.
With brutal honesty. Like, it only works with brutal honesty.
Yeah.
And like, that's what makes it great. And I think like that is what's great about. It's all good. Like I'm the only one talking.
Classic CEO energy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But
Garrett McCurry
like,
podcast.
Because like I feel comfortable telling you guys like, oh, let's try this because I know if it's either not productive or like not helpful or a bad idea, y'all will just like be brutally honest. And then if I have high conviction, y'all are going to be behind me 100% anyway. So that's what Drew always says. Drew will be like, I don't think that's a good idea, but if you want to do it, I will back you up 100%. And that is like the best thing about our relationships, which I feel like we do 90% of the time we do really well. As long as we're all like pretty rested, is that like brutal honesty and also like, I'm going to back you up no matter like if you're high conviction. And I think that's something that we've all been learning lately is like when someone's high conviction, you should probably go with it. Everyone's like pretty smart. And if someone's going to push through someone saying that's a bad idea, it's usually the right idea.
Boom.
I have this like internal metric of give a shit.
Yeah.
And like the decision defaults to the person who has the most give a shit. And if it's like pretty close together, it's the same. But like, I think it's like a thing in life, right? It's like the reason why we're all like working so hard towards this thing is like our level of give a shit is just so high. It is not about the money. It is not about any kind of credibility or like whatever. It is like, we just truly care about doing this. And like that manifests itself down in like all these little ways in like our day-to-day operations.
It really is cool. I mean, I'm so proud to be y'all's friends, and I love that like we have this studio now that we can like kind of like, I mean, I won't be here every day, but like that we can kind of share this like this little thing, because I wanted to work with you guys somehow, some way for the last like several years now. And now it's like we're doing a thing together, so it's like so cool that to see you guys every day. Like just like like Canon's downstairs designing something, and Garrett's like carrying wood somewhere, and Drew's like, Garrett, put that down. It's like
that's usually how it goes.
It's like to be a part of that is such a cool like experience. Like to like see, and I obviously everyone loves you guys in our community, and then you guys have naysayers too.
Well, the compliments
Is that you were excited to
No.
work with us on something? You'd been wanting to do this for a few years.
We're excited to work with you on something.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited, dude.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is gonna be cool, guys. Okay, so you tell the world these guys.
Well, one, I think it is the brutal honesty. Like I know I can throw something at them, and they're just going to be honest about how they feel about it. That's huge. That's such a huge unlock for someone who's really like I like to be creative, and like if people aren't pushing back against stuff, then I feel like I can't take as many shots, right? I have to be like, okay, well, I need to be the one who's focused. And I do appreciate that, like, you guys are really good about like being really honest and also really honest with feedback. Like Drew today, you're like, hey, we're gonna build a fake wall. We got a lot to do. Is that the best use of your time?
I did,
which
say
is
that.
true.
I did say that.
You didn't know how quick it was going to be, but
Quoted at 30 minutes, took about an hour. Oh, well, this
40, I would say 45.
45.
Minus all the prep time
Yeah, I'd say hour all in.
and the trip to the store.
True, but faster.
Faster than I thought.
I
Faster than
appreciate
I
that
thought.
someone was like, hey, we should not build a wall. I don't know what building a wall means, but that is not a good use of time. But the things I like working with Drew is a sustainer. and he's really good at juggling a lot of balls. I am not. I'm good at taking one ball and throwing it as high as I can. I'm gonna throw it really high.
And then you got like 4 other balls while you're like waltzing.
Yeah. And so like anytime that like we make a big leap, I know I can make a big leap, and then Drew is gonna raise us up to that level and make sure that we stay there. And Canon's gonna do a big. Anyone who does a big leap, we're gonna make sure that like that is there. And it's like tough in a startup because usually there's a bunch of founder types, and it's like you do a big leap and then you go back down. You're like, okay, why is no one like paying attention to our finances or like paying the taxes, or now I've got to pay the taxes, and like it would take me like a week to pay the taxes. And I don't know how long it takes Drew to pay the taxes because he never mentions it, and it's done.
Nice.
And he does that across everything. I really like that.
Oh, thanks, man.
And you're also good at like asking that question, and then if you disagree with something, and you're like, hey, I'm going to back you up on that anyways. And then if he was right, you don't say I told you so. Or even bring it back up. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, you've never brought it back up when you've been right. Except for one time.
Oh, boy.
Well, I mean, it might have happened today, but you ended up being right because the wall looked really cool and you built it. So
Appreciate it. Yeah,
if you don't give them opportunities to be wrong.
This is what we did in the garage. This is it's the same wood, so I knew that it was like super quick to put together. What I like working about at Canon is like I've never met someone who will work as harder than me at something, and that like ever.
Yeah.
Like Canon, like legitimately inspires me. Oh. Like you inspire. I've never met someone who inspires me to work harder than you do, and you think so clearly and you communicate so well. I really appreciate that. I mean, we've all woken up to 10, 15-minute Loom videos multiple times.
Even the walls are crying after.
But you're an inventor, and you focus more than any other creative I've ever met, to the point that you are frustrated when we're doing anything else. Like emotionally frustrated. Is that fair?
Yeah. And like the way I like to describe it is like why I think we work so well is like, so one, both Garrett and Drew are engineers. All three of us are engineers, mechanical. So like one, there's a kind of a common like playing ground on the tech. But
you guys would speak to each other. Like like if I was on the team, I'd be like, yeah, sure. I don't know.
Weights, bro. Well, and it's nice too, though, because we each have our independent like strengths. So like Garrett is a builder who can sell. Or actually, he's a seller who can build. It's probably a better way to put it. Like he is able to sell. He's able to sell like the vision, the idea. I mean,
Not
think
like
about
a couple
it.
years ago.
Well, it's like he took this thing that is like objectively kind of a crazy concept until you start to put the nuts to bolts, and like he did that, and he's sold this, and he's like the best at selling it. But he also understands building well enough to be great to work with. Drew is a great operator and a great builder, so he can understand. He helps on the engineering. He does all of our like PCBs and stuff. Like he just does it on the side, but also operates. And like I like to think of myself as a builder who can also sell. And in my last startup, I did a lot of sales, and that really changed the way I design things. I don't know if I've ever made a significant change to the robot without it being led by like some kind of business decision.
Well, especially because you can think of it as in like, okay, a person is going to want to have to pay for this, or like a company or a city, versus like I'm just going to make it kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's also like the tough thing about PipeDream is it's the constraints. If we wanted to build an underground system from an engineering standpoint, we'd have the coolest. Oh, it'd be done. It'd be completely done. It'd be sick. And there's other companies who have done that. The tough thing is like you make some sacrifices. It's kind of like when you look at the iPhone and you're like, there's giant circuit boards everywhere, and it's like the first version of the iPhone, and it runs, and there's like, but it's like circuit board here, circuit board here, circuit board here, circuit board here, plugged into an LCD display with like all this stuff everywhere. That's not the hard part. Like the hard part isn't making it work. It's miniaturizing it into a little package that you can also produce for like $300.
Yeah.
And that's the tough thing about PipeDream.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because what makes my job hard is not ever designing a robot. We can turn out a new robot in a week and a half, 2 weeks of like from like idea to like a prototype, and then maybe like another 2 weeks of building and testing, right? Yeah. The hard thing is to balance all of the parameters in the system and the way they interlock. And like to explain like a little bit more detailed, if you change the number of packages you want to drop off in an hour at an input station, at a node, it changes like a good third of the system. And that's actually what I'm going through right now. And that's why I've been awake for the past few days designing, is because like we were doing more math on the business side about like how many things, like how many packages will go through a single node in this kind of first network. And we realized that like we were over optimizing. We had designed a system that had too high of throughput, and we could scale that back and make some better decisions elsewhere. And it's crazy how you just change one tiny like Jenga block and the rest of the tower just becomes this new thing.
That's so cool.
It's insane, but it's like that's what makes it take so long.
It's maddeningly frustrating.
It's super.
Because like we are all big. Like if you have an idea for a SaaS business, that SaaS business should be shipped like probably the next morning.
Yeah.
If it's not shipped by the next morning,
within a week,
you shot too high on your features. Like it should be simple, and so it's like not being able to get something in the customer's hands in like 2 days is really frustrating. Also, it's like the biggest challenge of my life. I don't know about y'all.
Just having to wait like years and years to like get like from the idea to like.
Hope not years and years.
Well, I think
I'm saying it's already. I'm saying it's already been years since you thought.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No, you're
I'm
right.
not saying like 10 more years. I'm saying like it's already been years. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the frustrating part too is like the stuff that we can control is the technology, and that's like unfortunately the easy side of the business. Not at all to downplay it. It's not
No,
easy,
it's the easiest
but it's
by
the
far.
easier side of the business
Totally.
for sure. It's figuring out how to get cities to say yes, where you're going to put the portals, what's going to be around that, who's going to pay for it.
How does it scale? How do people interface?
Which
with
is
it?
like every time you make a sacrifice on how it scales, that sacrifices
It hurts something
goes
else.
into the technology, and
Yeah.
it's because it's a protocol, which is like great. And once we get the protocol right, it's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
But we gotta get it right, because if we get it wrong,
Yeah.
someone else is just gonna fork the protocol and crush it. They're gonna find the weak point, and we're not gonna be able to.
What a great transition, Garrett. My next question is, how cool is it that you guys have such a difficult thing to build that maybe you will have competitors, but like you're not going to have a lot of competitors. Like you're not going to have like 50 people that are like, we're also going to do this shit. It's like, okay, have fun. Like it took you a long time to get here. So where are you guys at with the competitive landscape, and like how does that work with you guys?
I'm not holding back. So
We have competitors.
yeah, like we off. Can I name Magway and just talk about like the different philosophies?
Name them.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
All right, I'm
name
on
them.
five. All right, so
I mean, they won't.
all right, so our biggest like kind of established competitor is probably Magway. Magway is a company out of the UK that's in a meter-sized tunnel that they're building custom, and I like to think of Magway as like the inverse engineering approach that we've taken. Basically, what they've done instead of like, so we use standard utility pipes. We make the we make like our lives harder to make a robot that works in that.
Yeah.
So their approach,
And the reason, just to clarify, the reason we want to make our lives harder is you want to. The goal is to reduce your cargo size to pipe diameter ratio so that it scales. Like the limiter to scale is how expensive it is to put in the pipe.
Like you're taking more time and effort now so that in the future you're not like, oh shit, we should have done that.
you can scale faster.
Tunnels to put in.
Yeah, and so they have a large tunnel, but another really big difference is they have this like linear motor that runs through the track. So they basically take all of the complexity. So there's no motor on the robot. The robot just really passive.
Yeah.
It's all on the track, and so it's like we take this approach of like take all complexity out of the infrastructure and put it into the robot and these kind of components that we can iterate. And they take the opposite approach of like put it exclusively into the infrastructure. And it's really like the way I think an engineer would go about it. And it would be a lot more fun.
And they crush it.
It looks
way
great.
really good.
It's way,
Yeah, like I have no doubt that system will work, but like I have no doubt too that we will be at deliveries faster because we are like obsessive about how do we have a delivery. I've like decided not to cut my hair until we do a delivery, and like that's so stupid, right? But it's like literally we wake up thinking about how do we get to that first delivery, how do we get to that first paying customer, and it changes the way we design every single part of our system. And like we're not here to just like have fun engineering. Like we're here to build a product. We're here to build a machine that like fucking delivers things. And so it's like it's not about the tech for us, and I think it gives us a really strong competitive edge when it comes to this underground landscape.
You're just obsessed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'd also say like the other side. Oh,
No,
go ahead. All good. So we have like other underground competitors, but we also have like other modalities. And I think like the future of hyperlogistics or like autonomous delivery, whatever you want to call it, no one's going to doubt that it's going to be inherently multimodal, right? Like there's going to be drones in places, sidewalk robots in places, underground in places, self-driving cars in places, trains in places.
It's not going to be just underground.
Yeah, just like the rest of logistics is. Like some stuff comes on a train, some comes on a truck. A lot of it comes on
airplanes.
airplanes. Oh, we stopped recording. Oh, we got to stop recording. So But like our thing is like, how do we build a system that eats as much of the pie as possible? Because we don't want to get stuck with
like the entire world's delivery. Like, wait, no,
we don't want to get stuck with a small piece of pie. We don't want to be a niche solution.
Can we restart that? Because I spaced for a second. Can you go back?
I've got to bounce too.
Okay, cool.
So I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for being
Cannon has to leave.
See you guys.
Bye, Cannon.
Cannon has one hobby, and it's hockey.
Oh yeah, he's got hockey. So Cannon scored 4 goals the other night.
Cannon has the most goals in his league.
Yeah, leading so far.
There's only been 2
games.
And he just started playing hockey this year.
Yeah.
Hey, Wayne Gretzky of robots.
I need some more hockey analogies up in here.
Nice. And we're back. So Cannon had to step away, but really quickly, Garrett, I want you to touch on your side projects that you've done. You have several. We'll try and keep it short, but we'll start with one of them. What was the it's like a little database. It's like an old school computer screen. What was that one again? It's like a Dow. Was that
Dow
a Dow
Jones.
Dow Jones. Yeah.
What was that? Yeah. Like you built that blew up really quickly too. What was that?
Yeah, and then I had my kid like a few days later, so I had to kind of like put on the back burner. Yeah, that was just it was a Saturday. I wasn't doing anything. And like Dow discovery, I think DAOs have kind of got swept up in the NFT crypto wave.
They did, yeah.
And they just got so. What's a good word for it? They got. Everyone called something a DAO, and what they really meant was a group chat. And DAOs have the opportunity to really, I mean, they're basically just protocols, right? They're in the same way that like Uber is almost a protocol. Mm-hmm. You know, I can sign up, I get approved, and I can start taking rides. That's sick. Mm-hmm. Like it's nearly permissionless. It's not quite, but it's pretty permissionless. Mm-hmm. And we can do that for a lot of stuff. The idea of permissionless work is gonna, when people figure out how to do it, it's gonna be transformative. People will be able to be like, okay, what skills do I have? How do I go into companies and do those skills for them without having to ask someone to do it? And then I don't believe a lot of that's going to be on the blockchain. There's really no reason for it to be on the blockchain. We operate protocols perfectly fine. Most of the internet runs on protocols, and there's some people managing them, and everything works well. And like a lot of the problems aren't blockchain related. A lot of the problems with DAOs are, how do you set up the game so that everyone's incentivized to do the right thing? How do you drive, if I make a logo for something, I don't think anyone would use a DAO for this, but like I make art for someone. There was a bounty for that art. How do I know in like an easy way that like if I make art that is sufficiently good, I'm gonna get paid for it, right? That's tough. It's those type problems that need to be solved right now. And like the blockchain is like 4, 5, 6, level 4, 5. You know what I'm saying? Like level 4, level 5, level 6 type problem where it's like, oh, now that we have all these rules set up and everything's working and everything's permissionless, let's make it decentralized. Sure. Like, I think that's nice. Like, let's tokenize it, but it needs to be working first. Like, it is so far away from that. Yeah, but the idea of Dow Jones is like, okay, let's find a way to rate DAOs on their, how they're doing in that, or how permissionless is it. Let's centralize the bounties so that if and really it was, the idea was even far away from centralizing bounties, it is a frontier right now. And people are definitely interested. And the idea is like, right now, this is the time where we need a product hunt where it's just like, oh, I like writing, scripts, or I like music, and I'm just gonna, I just want to watch and see how some of this stuff develops. Yeah. And there's no way to like catch what's new, and say, I want to watch this thing as it develops. And that was Dow Jones before was, I'm an engineer, I can do CAD. Is there any like DAOs that are for CAD design? If there is, I kind of want to watch it. I want to see how it develops, and I don't really want to do it now, but when I am ready to do it, when it is mature enough that I can hop in and use my skills to get sufficient amount of value back, I want to be ready. And that was Dow Jones. Very cool. Dow Jones ended up being a lot more editorial. And so our rule and we can talk about pipe drops, but our rule for labs is if we're going to drop something, we need to be able to automate 95% of the work in 2 weeks.
This is through PipeDream? This is through or is this through you?
Yeah, and we'll talk about it's not for me personally. It's like everything's through PipeDream.
Mm-hmm.
You need to either automate it in 2 weeks, and if not, then you need to get it out or shut it down.
Gotcha.
And so I gave it to a founder who I don't think's ready to talk about owning it, but we just gave it to her, and I think she's going to do a really great job. She kind of did it naturally, and the product's built, the software's built. Someone just needs to run editorial. Which we do not have the bandwidth to do.
Yeah, no, you're doing too much shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of bandwidth, so we have our other thing, and sorry to discount Drew over there. Hi, Drew over there.
What's up?
We'll do one more Garrett thing, and then we'll get back to the group. But you also have Fractal, which I'm a huge fan of, and I'm pumped to say that I was part of. Contributed some of the questions and being a part of the original little South by group.
Okay, so directly to camera, Corey, the huge understatement. Corey noticed that the questions were getting worse, so Corey sent me a list of 20 questions that he had come up with himself, unprompted, and that's just Corey. Corey is such a good operator that if you are not operating well at your thing, he's going to operate for you, and he has the operational bandwidth to do it. It's crazy.
Unfortunately,
Corey is one of the best operators I've ever met.
Appreciate it.
Drew's one of it. Corey's the other, but what you do so well. It's insane.
I appreciate it. But Fractal it's such a cool thing, and it came at such a good time, and now it's making enough money that it's paying the rent for this entire pipe house.
Yeah, it's double.
It's paying double the rent for this pipe house. So you told me a thing where you don't like to pay company funding towards a physical asset that you have a long-term liability on.
Yeah.
So you are actually paying your rent with Fractal revenue, which is crazy to me.
More or less. It's not directly, but the deficit between the office, because we were working out of my garage, which was free.
Yeah.
Ish.
Everyone has a free.
It cost Drew a pretty long commute, and it cost me a good amount of electricity running all the power tools.
Yeah.
But it was free, and then we needed an office. We were slowed down by the lack of an office, so we definitely needed an office.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is the Fractal revenue. But this wasn't the goal. If I could talk about labs, so we have PipeDream.
Yeah.
Which PipeDream's goal is to make 30-second delivery times possible this decade. That's it.
Yeah.
Full focus. Labs is another part. And Labs has a few reasons that we decided to do Labs. One is we bring in a lot of founder types.
Yeah, so many cool people are in here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Canon was a founder. Justin exited for $1 billion to Uber.
Wait, what?
Was that?
Literally or
Yeah.
It was. I think it was 1.2, but
was it his?
Yeah, it was his Canon for $1 billion.
Wait, was it his company or?
Yeah.
Drizzly.
Justin. Yeah, he founded Drizzly, co-founded Drizzly.
And they exited for 1.2 billion. Was he the sole founder or something there?
He's a co-founder.
I don't know. Yeah, he's a co-founder.
So he doesn't.
But he is.
So he doesn't need to
as
work.
far as I care.
Basically,
no.
I was that's a huge valuation.
Oh, we are so blessed. I mean, it's Justin's amazing.
Yeah, he's here because he wants to be.
I was gonna say,
he actually had another great startup that
was Justin here earlier
too. And he has
that's the guy working next to Canon today, walking around? Is that Justin?
Oh no,
that's Thomas.
No. Justin works out of Boston.
Oh god! Oh gotcha. Okay, gotcha. I was the guy just walked around with 1.2 billion. And I'm hey, can you pick that up for me? It's 1.2 billion exit. I'm okay, that's crazy. Wow. Okay, good to know. Sorry, keep going.
But then Mac
just
co-founded Voyage with Silda Cruz. Thomas hasn't found anything yet, but is total fan. I mean, Thomas is insane. One of the most talented people I've ever worked with.
Great guy too. Great guy.
So everyone here is a founder type, and it's we're working on something really hard with really long ship times, and as a founder, that's sucks.
Yeah.
And so why, if it costs us so little bandwidth to ship other stuff, why wouldn't we? We're just wasting talent if we're not. And so the idea is, so labs, you need to, everything you drop needs to have significant value. It needs to be able to be built within a weekend or a night.
Okay.
So go from not existing to existing either in a night or a weekend. And then continuous maintenance on it.
Okay.
You need to have it completely outside of our core bandwidth in 2 weeks, or you need to shut it down or give it away.
I love that.
But it's just like it gives us like a low, and then like we haven't had the extra bandwidth to do that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you know, we do. We have some really solid ideas. I wanted to say we don't have the idea. We really do. We have some killer ones.
Yeah.
That in some, like, we have like 4 software products that like one button we just boop and it's launched. And it's like ready to go. And they're sick. We just don't have the bandwidth to like do that 2 weeks.
Exactly.
We will. We're super close. Yeah. But the idea with the labs is like, it's like we can generate, you know, one is just like shipping something as a founder is just, it's so beautiful, and software is so great, and it just like, it makes you feel so much better. And then that's where I got with Factal, is I just had to ship something.
Yeah.
And so it's also like, the core thing about business is you want to like execute on your mission and not run out of money. And not having money coming in, it just like, for me, I hate it. I don't like a business that doesn't make money.
It bothered him every day.
I hate it. It's the worst. That's not how businesses, I mean, they're fine. And it's like jumping out of a plane and people being like, where's your parachute? And you're like, I don't know if I'd won. It's like you don't even have one to build. You can't even, you're just like,
we were talking to some people that had parachutes. So like, it's a little bit.
And so with Factal, what happened is me and Drew had our board meeting. And it was just me and Drew at the board meeting. It was just like 2 board members. So there's a pretty, we agreed on most of it.
We agreed on all of it. It took 5 minutes.
It was a 5-minute board meeting, so we had some extra time, and we were just hanging out. I was like, okay, let's. What's the biggest arbitrage opportunity right now? And it was right when Wordle came out. And I was like, we feel like Wordle is more of a shift in game culture than it is like a new game.
Yeah,
like we have been so inundated with game ads on mobile phones that treated us like idiots, and that we're just trying to engagement farm and get us like watching as many as possible, that we were lost without like a good game that like treated us like intellectuals, was brutal, and had like a nice social component that wasn't like, oh, log in, sign up, and you're trapped in like our social ecosystem and just growth hacked to death. And so Wordle was like this nice like it was a new type of game format that people really resonated with. So we said, okay, what is like Wordle, but better? Like, what are the things we could do off Wordle? I think we had my favorite that we came up with was like, we were asking like, okay, what Wordle but for blank?
There's some really dumb ones.
There was Wordle but for illness, where it gave you an illness, you had to guess the symptoms, and it was called Sickle. Oh, Sickle's great.
That's pretty good, actually.
We had
like the little like logo.
Exactly. Yeah. And we had
Coming to you
Wordle
this
but
weekend.
for ingredients. It was like all that's like very, very similar, but it wasn't like that bonus factor. It was just like a different category. But with trivia, we were like, oh, trivia adds another element, because you're learning a new thing every day. It's not I'm learning like words. It's words every single day, and you're just learning the same thing. But with trivia, you have a different category. You're learning something new every day, and you have a reason to share with friends, because like if you lose, you're learning something, right? And so we had the idea. We kind of broke down like what it was, and then that night it was the first season of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, or the first 2 episodes. So I had 2 episodes to burn. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to build it while I watch the first 2 episodes of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. We built it.
Say that again. What was the show?
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Have you all seen Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I've not seen it.
So say it again.
It's fantastic.
Say the name of the show.
I can't. It's Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's a lot of M's.
That's actually the password for everything in PipeDream.
Great show. And so I just like, it was like 2 hours. And so I built the first version. And then the next day, Canon helped me with some improvements. Drew play tested it, sent it to some friends, got some feedback. And like a week later.
Did I get it? I don't know if I got it that early.
Yeah,
I'm a little upset.
You did.
You were probably
you're part of that first
there.
week playtest, because then I launched it on TikTok, and
Cameras died again. We're back. So how much is Factal doing a month right now?
Right now, in June, it did 22K.
That's insane. Is that after you've paid people or before?
That's before.
That's
so
gross.
what we did was, the idea is like you got to automate it, right? So we have 2 partners. One is a really great data company called Open Access, which they solve the problem of like, where do you get good, clean data from? And that's the hardest part about Factal, is like, trying to get that data.
It's so hard because you're like,
so hard.
Like, is it top 5 movies? People are like, okay, well, even I would be like,
is that
really the top
People
5?
argue about the
And you can't
data
do like
all the time.
Yeah, and you can't do like favorite colors. So like that's all.
I would get
biased.
like borderline death threats, and I'd be right. Like it was like the right data, and I was like, people were furious.
Well, and also when you just Google it, it's hard because like it'll pop up, and I'm like, is that?
And
really
the first results are just flat
They're
wrong.
always wrong. They're wrong.
Yeah.
So open access, we've stopped going to Google, and we just go straight to open access, and we say, here's the data, and here's the source. Like this is the source we got from, and it's like a great source.
Yeah.
And they do a great job with that. So we pay them a percentage, and then we also pay this ads guy who tried to buy Factual, but we told him just like, okay, here's a percentage, and you juice as much as you can out of the ads as possible without like killing. Like we have this playership rate. Like if the ads get too big, it kills playership. And just go crazy.
Yeah.
And he went crazy, and like the ads do really well. I was really surprised. I wasn't expecting the ads to do so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we I haven't thought about it in like a couple weeks, and it just runs, and
That's crazy.
it's sick. It is really dope. So I mean, like going forward, now that we have a little more bandwidth, we'll drop labs 2, 3, 4, and they'll follow the same model, and then some will just be for fun. Some of them are just cool. They're not going to generate revenue, but we like them.
Yeah. So back to, I mean, we can talk about this for days. There's so many cool like projects y'all are doing and working on, but back to PipeDream to kind of like close out the conversation a little bit. So where are you guys going to be in the next 3 months, and then we'll do the next year, and then we'll do 5 years. So we'll start with 3 months.
Okay, 3 months. We will have pipes in the ground somewhere.
Let's get back a little bit so we can see 'em.
We will have pipes in the ground somewhere,
Okay.
and we will be getting ready to make actual deliveries for actual customers.
That's so cool. And so customers, as in like you're going to have like a 4-block radius of people getting packages into their house, or is it going to be like an earlier stage? Like what does it look like?
That needs to be decided.
Okay, very cool.
We have an option that we could execute and would be done in like a few weeks.
Yeah, maybe like 6 weeks.
Depending on supply chain.
That's the
Maybe like
relationship.
6
You just
weeks.
watched the relationship. right there.
Depending on supply chain. If supply chain and scheduling works, we could be done in 2 weeks.
Sure. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. We'll figure it out.
We get it done in 2 weeks.
Figure it out.
So we could do that in a city. We have the permits. We have everything to do that. And the right now we're like, okay, is there a better pilot to do? That's what we're focusing on right now.
Yeah. I think the hard part.
Someone really cool just drove by. What'd you say?
We were just making sure we're doing the right pilot.
Yeah.
Right now.
The hard part for us is like we don't get a lot of shots at this. We can't A/B test this really. Like maybe one time, truly an A and a B.
You can't just keep.
And there will not be a C
Yeah,
if B
yeah,
goes
yeah,
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very expensive project. It's worth it. Like the return on investment is absolutely insane. It's like 5 years conservatively if we get it in the right market, we get the technology right, we have the right partners. But like making sure that happens is so critical, and like the success of PipeDream.
And that's us saying it. Like we're
so
big.
sensitive.
Like
Yeah.
just ship it and find out. Like if this is software,
Would have been shipped.
shipped
Would've been
a day later at most.
That's true.
It's just like this is just a lot more intensive, which is fun, but it also sucks.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the fun part though. Like that's what I really enjoy is like not everybody can do this. Like not everybody can do software, but a lot of people can do software. It's more accessible. It's easier to do. There's a lot more ways to gather data. There's ways to market it. Like you can go directly to consumers now with hardware, with infrastructure, with providing a physical service. That's just so challenging to do.
You're doing a lot. Talking about the competitors, it's like it's not easy for someone to compete with you. Like it's not. It takes a while to get to that point. And kind of with that, so like when you guys are out here raising money and like doing your presentation, like what is the kind of like the vibe that you bring into investor meetings? Like we're gonna be this $1 trillion company, or we're gonna change logistics, or both those. Like what are you guys like preaching basically when you're doing these pitches?
It's there's like two things. One is like this is our vision, what we call hyper logistics. It's like this next era of logistics. I think that is what we hold true, and it is true. That's going to exist.
It'll happen whether or not we do it.
If we die tomorrow, it's going to happen. We can't.
It might
stop
not happen 10 years from now.
Right?
But
We're trying to
it'll
make
happen
it
50
happen
years from now.
as fast as possible, and
Absolutely.
that's the thing that is 100% true. And I total belief. I have so much conviction in that. I know that to be true. We have done all the diligence to know. And so that's what we're going for. It's like, there's a giant pot of gold there. There's so much like environmental good, like hyperlogistics is going to change commerce for the better in every single way. If what piece of underground is that? I don't know. What piece of that is ours? I don't know. But the goal is like, we're going to stay intellectually honest and go after hyperlogistics and make it happen as fast as possible. And if that means that we have to invalidate every single thing we've ever done and change on a dime and do something that is going to work, we're going to do it. Yeah. I am fine to stand in the town square and look like a fool if it means a month down the road, we're going to be in the correct position. And that's what I tell people is this, we are going after a once in a lifetime opportunity. We're going to give it the best shot we have, and we're going to stay intellectually honest and you stay obsessive about that and give us the best chance to be in a position to capitalize on that market. That's what I tell people. Like we have all the plans for a year. We have all the plans for 6 months. We know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to try to do. But at the end of the day, we're going to give us the best shot to be in the position to capture that market. And if that means, we actually technically could run a drone company better. With Drew's expertise, like we've done a drone project before.
Well, I have a drone interview lined up in a few months, and I have Drew on the podcast so that he can ask all the questions. So,
Drew has a master's degree in, what's it called?
Isn't it in drones?
Yeah. It actually is. It's called unmanned autonomous systems, but it's the fancy word for drones.
Oh, we had a great like drone technology we built. Yeah. It was sick. But anyway, we may be back there. We're gonna do the thing that makes the most sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think the interesting part about PipeDream for me is like, this company is focused on building an idea, and like the way we do that can change, or it can be a lot of things. It doesn't have to be just one thing. Right now we're focused on underground because I truly believe that's the best way we're going to get to hyperlogistics this decade, and the best way that we're going to do it in a way that makes it good for cities and good for consumers and good for businesses. But if we find a better way to do that, if we figure out how to teleport things, we'll definitely do that instead. Exactly. We care about solving this problem and all of the things that this can unlock for the world, really.
The commitment we made is that we're in our 20s. We have one shot to take a big swing at a new market. It was 2020. And we said by 2030, we're going to give it everything until 2030. To go after this one thing. This new market that we think in 2030 is going to be huge. This is our shot. And like, I stay committed to that. I will be here, whether we have money or not. We're not going to run out of money.
We won't run out of money
about that. Even in the bull market, I was like, all right, we got to act like we never raised financing again. And we've got to like look at every single dollar going out.
It's true. We had 2 screwdrivers.
I don't know what that means.
We had 2 screwdrivers because we didn't like buy lots of stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
We only had 2.
If you know anything about screwdrivers, you need more.
Well, if your CEO carries them around for fun and then leaves them places, you definitely need more than 2.
I thought that was like some weird nerdy ass metaphor I was supposed to understand. I was like, well, you got 2 screwdrivers, you don't got a nickel. I'll tell you that.
You know what they say.
I was like,
you got 2 screwdrivers.
You said and I was like, I don't know what that means.
You heard it here first, folks.
Well, I don't even know what we're talking about. Just the 2 screwdrivers thing threw me off. But basically, I just want to. If you guys didn't have anything else to say, I want to conclude with. Actually, really quick, can you guys say what should people get out of this video? Do you want them to contact PipeDream? Do you want them to follow your journey on Twitter? Do you want them to what do you guys want them to do from this video?
If you think you can help us in any way, we would love to hire you or find a way to pay you money for the value that you add.
Absolutely, he's serious. We're serious. We do that all the time.
Yeah, if you have a full-time job and you just want to help us on the side, we will make sure you get the value out of that. Yeah, 100%.
They do that all the time. Actually, I'm not even joking.
Also, just try hard things. There's not enough people doing truly new or truly world-changing things. There's a lot of people that talk about how the thing that they're interested in or the thing that they're already doing is world-changing, but it's not true. People need to take bigger shots. People need to just go for it. And if you need support, let us know. We'd be happy to try and help if we can. And we'd be happy to help you build a community of people who can help you do big things.
Yeah. And to build on that, because we do talk about this all the time, not enough people try hard things, especially in your 20s. You can fail your entire 20s and be fine.
Yeah. That's recoverable.
Super recoverable.
I turned 30. I turned 30 at the end of the year, so.
Yeah. Well, you really need to.
Yeah. You got to pick it up.
In your 30s, like if you look at the long history and to acknowledge that we have a lot of advantages that help make that a soft landing.
Absolutely.
If you look at everyone, like I look at my friends' careers, people a little older than me, like of all types of backgrounds, like that is generally true. And so that's a great time to take a good shot. But if you're going to take a big shot, you need to make sure that if you accomplish the thing you're going to accomplish, there is an undoubtedly value add to whatever your market is. Because if you take a shot and you're like, well, I hope people use it this way, that's not like a big enough shot. They're not a big enough shot. Like you shouldn't just take a big shot for the sake of taking a big shot. You should know that there's going to be a market for your product if you're able to accomplish X, Y, Z. And
it should be something you care about. Like, honestly, if I didn't believe in PipeDream, I wouldn't be here. I'm here because it's fun, you know? Like, that changes the way you think about everything. You need to do something you care about.
Yeah.
And I just want to conclude with saying I love you guys very much. And Canon too, and also the whole team. And I'm proud of you guys, and been blessed to be a part of this journey, you guys. Just be able to see all the little updates, be like, oh yeah, this is going to actually happen in a few months, but don't tell anybody. Like, I love being a part of that. I'm blessed to be a part of this community. And I'm blessed to be now sharing a podcast studio with you guys. So we're finally doing business together.
Yeah.
So
we're blessed to have you here.
The whole goal of having a podcast studio here, to be completely frank, is to maximize our time in the office so that the networking can happen here as you bring people in and other people come in.
I'm bringing in some big, awesome, like amazing founders and investors over the next few months. So I was like, hey, I'm bringing some value to the studio.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Sure.
Now we don't have to go anywhere to network. But since this is episode 1, to conclude, I would love to hear what you want for the future of the podcast. What's your goal a year from now? Where do you want to be?
Oh, I mean, I would love to be like the number one entrepreneurs and founders podcast, like on the planet, like hands down, easily.
Hell yeah.
And I've looked at a lot of them, and I definitely, I'm pretty confident. Like, there's not a lot of, like, everyone's like so serious, and it's like, dude, startups are not, like, they're serious, but they're not that serious. They're not that serious. Like, we're dicking around. We're getting drunk on vacations. Like, we work a shit ton. Yesterday was Sunday. I worked from like 10 a.m. until midnight, and I was just like doing like fun little projects here, and it's like getting ready for the podcast, honestly, mostly. But
for sure,
startups should be fun, and it should be exciting. And like, I want to have exciting, like this interview. Like, we're laughing, we're telling like stories, we're like talking about the actual things that are going to happen in your company. And I love having these interviews and like talking to people. And it's like just exploring like why you created something and like where you're going to be at. So I don't have like a number set. I don't really care. Like, hopefully it pays me at some point, but I just want to have the biggest entrepreneurship and, you know, founder and inspiring podcast that I can have.
Yeah.
So
I will say, if you're listening to this, subscribe, because I've never known Corey to do anything halfway.
That's true.
He only does it big. He only does it right, and he's never going to quit until he accomplishes his goal, ever. So if he says he's going to have the number one entrepreneurial podcast, then he eventually will.
For sure.
Whether that's tomorrow, a year from now, 2 years from now, get in, because it's going to happen.
Get in
Absolutely.
big. I did quit my first podcast though, but eventually this became that.
I forgot about that.
He never quits. Starting today.
Starting today. I never quit twice. No, but that one was just all audio. It was like, I can't do it. This is way more fun to be with you guys here. Yeah. That's all we got, though. I mean, I love you guys, and I'm proud of everything you're doing. And I don't care if there's like random people on Twitter that are like, "This is not going to happen." It's like, you don't even. What do you know? Like,
it's okay. Yeah. They might be right.
Well, I think they're wrong. I'm full send on PipeDream. PipeDream. I'm always prepared. I'm going to say PipeDrive. The other, like the company I used to like.
It's a good company.
It's a good company.
Great company.
You should use PipeDrive. It's great.
Yeah. Let's get them on the podcast. Let's get them on the podcast.
I've used it before.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, we should get them here. That'd be so fun.
It would be fun.
I know people that work there actually. Yeah,
let's do it.
Actually, okay, never mind. Anyway, goes. All right, we're gonna close it off.
Thank you so much for having us. Honored to be the first one.
Yeah, let's get it.
How are we signing off? Do you have a sign off?
Let's get it down. I don't really have one.
And that's why we strive.
Nice.
Oh, that's good. Do that again into the camera.
And that's why we strive.
Nice. I want to thank you for not only tuning in to this Why We Strive episode, but for watching all the way until the very end. I put a lot of time and effort into each and every episode to bring you influential and exciting people that tell amazing stories, and hopefully you either laugh a little bit or you learn something from each episode. Be sure you head to whywestrive.com to learn more info about the show, check out future episodes, learn about our sponsors, and of course, subscribe. That's all I have for you. See you next week. And don't forget, no matter what you're going through in life, keep striving.